Well, based on my pollen allergies, it's time to pop open a can of Spring. There you go. Oh, it's gone all sticky. Well, maybe we can use this for something better, like a birthday gift from my mom. If we cut off the top right around here, and with one well-placed throw, we can turn these sticks into wooden bricks. It's for a house. But houses need windows, otherwise the oxygen wouldn't get in and everyone would die. So let's make a couple of those by separating some sticks and putting them on a bit of tape so that we can line them up and glue them together. Yeah, alright. A tedious amount of time later, the glue is dried and we can flip it over and cut off the excess tape. I'm leaving some of the tape left on the sticks to support the structure and keep it all together a bit extra better? Maybe. Look, it doesn't fit at all. What kind of ramshackle escapade is this? But it's nothing that a bit more sticks can't fix. So I'm quad-secting more coffee stirring sticks and gluing those onto each long end of each window frame so that it'll fit on the house. Many times. Another thing this particular house has is a lot of beams, specifically beams made out of takeout chopsticks. So I'm marking them out based off of a scale image on my computer screen, and then I'm using a craft blade to snap them off, and then performing the most dangerous type of whittling to whittle the shape into shape. Something that I find useful when whittling is to whittle towards your enemies, but with a healthy dose of self-loathing, that becomes towards yourself, which is very useful because this is a finicky and tricky little thing to do. And you'll most likely find yourself getting dangerously close to your digits a lot of the time. But it pays off because look at this nice beam that we got going on. With a bit of back and forth between the whittle and the sandpaper, it looks almost like what it was supposed to look like. Beam me up. Now, if you're anything like me, you might like your houses with roofs. I made this complete mockery of a roof out of paper, but we can glue the real roof to this lid that fits snugly on the... Mockery! But we can use this mock-up as a template to cut out a sturdier piece of roof cone material out of a sturdier piece of material. I'm going to use the inner tube of a wrapping paper roll. This is slightly thick, but still bendy enough to... Still flexible enough for me to form into a cone shape atop the tube. So I'll use the template to mark out and cut out a sturdier version of the roof cone. The benefit, of course, of having done this as a stencil out of normal printing paper first is that I've already gotten the perfect measurements, the perfect taper, and the perfect lip, and I only have to do this roof one time. Perfect. Stairs are made out of cardboard in this case, and we can cunningly use the shape of the lid to get the shape of the tube to fit the stairs onto. So this step involves calling up Amazon and see if they have any boxes left. If you can get one of those, you can cut that up to fit your tube perfectly. Glue a couple of more pieces together, and then, here comes the magic. We need to take some coffee stirring sticks, do a little bit of editing, and then voila! Our stairs look more like stairs and less like garbage. Ain't that neat? Knife. I've jammed a bit of wire up the end of my beam so that when I mount it onto the stairs, we'll have a bit more structural integrity. A tiny hole, a glob of glue, and this puppy's gonna stand for at least 6 earthquakes. Bonus, you get to play the fun minigame of find the hole in the goo. Hold on, there it is. Toothpicks! Trickja! We're gonna cut off the pick part and be left with, I guess, just a tooth, and this will make up the fence around the porch. So more tape and more bisected coffee stirring sticks and a bit of glue, and this is gonna be something that even you can do. It feels like an insult now that I say it, but I didn't mean it that way. I was trying to rhyme. Point is, we can glue it in place. Look, it's gonna be so nice. Wow. I'm keeping everything separate until I've painted it because there's way too many nooks and crannies for me to get in there post-assembly. But for now, let's make this thing. I mean, I might as well show it. It goes on later to hold firewood. Okay, so this house has 3 floors, so I'm using some rubber bands to mark out a level for each window so that they're all equally spaced. And then I found out that cutting through glue is really hard, but we can probably use a Dremel to drill holes in each corner and then cut the rest out, except it will hurt your fingers quite a bit. So if you want to skip that step, you can just use the Dremel straight away to score out each side of the window. Speaking of windows, we haven't actually done the windows part of the window yet. I'm cutting out some bits of takeout container plastic because it's cheap and soft and kind of foggy, so it creates this nice opaque-ish window. Suggest the concept of glue to each edge to hold them in place for now. This bit of plastic kind of broke. Broke? Break-in? Maybe. But once that's all set, we can use an excessive amount of glue to glue each window frame in each window hole. And then finger squeegee the excess. Okay, I got kind of bored of glue drying, so we're switching to hot glue. The roof has some like pokey outy window bits. I don't know what they're called in English, but let's make some anyway. So 2 triangles and a square and you're there. It's a perfect fit. Now don't tell anybody, but I kinda need this. One thing I've always said is that the base and the tip of the cap of the glue bottle, together with this discarded cap of an old eyeliner, is just enough to make up an old-timey type chimney. Don't you think? See? Clay, super sculpey medium to be precise, and a roof. I'm gonna make some pills out of this and line them up on some baking paper, and then I'm gonna flatten them out, and before I bake them, glue them onto the roof, because I need them to be soft and pliable so I can still shape them to fit the cone. However, because I'm using Super Sculpey, it needs to bake in the oven. I saw Studson do this when crafting the Wizard's Tower from Stardew Valley, but with air-dried clay. I tried with air-dried clay, but it just dried too fast, it crumbled and fell off. But theoretically, paper and PVA glue should be okay in the oven on low temperatures, so I'm just gonna hope it doesn't catch on fire. But hey, in for a penny, let's cover it in alcohol. This will also have the added benefit of wiping out any fingerprints, so there won't be any evidence left. This will kind of melt the very top layer of clay and remove any sort of crumbs or nicks or fingerprints and just smooth out the surface ever so slightly. Now I just need to put this in the oven and keep its shape. This calls for coffee. Okay, where were we? No! Hey, hang on a minute. This oven-safe ceramic cup has the perfect diameter. Well, that worked out, didn't it? This little fire hazard is ready to go. Now, as we all have learned since, the real reason for the toilet paper craze back when Corona hit was the secret 3-tap method of extracting infinite energy from the toilet paper rolls. See? This'll fit nicely in the bottom of the house, but the bottom has a bottom and not a hole, so we gotta make one of those. Oh, well that's fun. Hey, this sounds like... Okay, that was fun. Let's make an awful sound to compensate.
This is the worst.
Using various tools in various ways that would make Mr. and Mrs. Tool turn in their grave, we can make the hole just big enough to fit the fake flame of the fake candle into the bottom of the barrel. Okay, it's been a couple of seconds since we made an awful noise. Do you want to hear another? The reason for this auditory indiscretion is that I needed to elongate the tube a bit and I wanted to keep the round shape of the base. So I'm hot gluing the tip of the tube to the bottom of the tube, thereby making a base for the tube that can hide the candle all sneaky like. Would you look at that? In contrast to things to look at, let's not look at the back because I made a hole too big. But some window shutters will make it look like it was all meant to be all along. Flawless. Because the lid of this nondescript snack canister is made of soft plastic, I didn't want to use hot glue, so PVA glue is gonna have to do. Okay, gluing together cardboard and paper, it gets old. Here's another roof I made, and I also made this little pokey-outy window bit that goes right over the roof, right around there. Perfect fit. When the lid had dried slightly, I reinforced it with even more glue. What's that noise? Shingle bells? Well, if you cut strips of paper, you can make these nice tile rows that you just glue on top of each other without having to do tile by tile individually. It's way nice. Speaking of gluing things on, I'm gluing these things on. I don't even know what they are. It's just things. Okay, enough gluing things on. Let's glue some things on to the windows. I've bisected some coffee stirring sticks to make up the window frames for this sticky outy window. The sticky outy window isn't gonna have any interior lights, I've decided, so I'm just gluing everything straight to the cardboard. It'll be fine. Let's bring back a crowd favorite, the coffee mug, and use it as a base for the base of the base. I need some stones to fit around the base, and I'm gonna make them out of clay. I marked out roughly where the stairs and stuff will be later on with some tape so that I know how wide I need to make the rock bits. This turned out to be kind of pointless because I need to break them up into pieces later on anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we are making some nice looking stones, and I wanna point that out instead of the mistakes, so that you think that I'm really good at what I do. Let's put little chopsticks here. Now hide your tongues because this is a tongue depressor, but it's also a good door if you split it in half to fit a window in the middle and line it with some paper to fit the curvature of the tube. Okay, here's that air dry clay that I bought that I don't like because it crumbles a bunch and it makes my hands all icky. But maybe we can use it to fill up the base and make the whole building a bit more bottom heavy. So I'm gonna line the whole exterior of the base tube bit with some of this clay to make it look more stony and less snack canny. This is a rock clay, I think, which means it's very, very heavy, which I do like. It's just very awkward to work with because it keeps drying around the edges. You gotta keep wetting it. It's sticky and weird, but it does make the base look a bit uncanny, which was my goal here. Another idea I had for this clay was to fill the base with it. I wanted the candle to be accessible from below if you wanted to change the battery or replace the candle altogether. So I put the candle in place and then filled the entire surrounding area with this air dry clay, thus keeping the candle safe and secure forever. Nice. I drilled some tiny holes just behind the door and the side windows for light to seep through eventually, and then I glued everything in place for the main building before bringing out the gravy. Let's get messy, shall we? The recipe for strong gravy is about 2/3 white PVA glue, 1/3 water, and then just black acrylic paint to taste. The purpose of this is to sort of bind everything together, give it a nice cohesive surface for the paint to later adhere to, and just fill in any nooks and crannies with dark black color so that anything that the paint eventually might miss is just going to be sort of dark and black anyway. So everything gets coated in this luscious liquid black licorice, and I think I did 2 passes on everything. It essentially fulfills the same role as matte Mod Podge might do, as seen in various other crafting videos, where people know what they're doing. An eagle-eyed viewer might notice that I'm getting goo all over the window. This doesn't actually matter because the windows are clear, smooth plastic, so anything that dries on top of them is easily scraped off afterwards. Look at that. It's so satisfying. And this is a good example of why you want to sandpaper things where you want adhesion, because otherwise it would just scrape off, but you can use it to your benefit. The only thing missing now is the little bits that go like in the window frames. I don't know if they even have a name, but they are here and also here. And with that, the model is actually done. Wowee, that took a long time. This is the first crafting video I've posted this year. What happened? I'm sorry. I also got very sick, which you can probably still hear a little bit that I still am, and this is going to be part 1. Obviously, the model isn't completely complete, but the building part is. So in part number 2, we will finish it up and paint everything, make it look all nice and pretty, put some flocking on it, but rather than wait forever to get that all done in one go, I figured let's just split it up. So stay tuned for that, and I'm sorry it took so long. Next video will probably be a transition update video, so until then, I'll see you around.